What is going on, guys? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. Today I got a top 10 Copper Age key comics to invest in for under $100. A few things before we get into it. One, there's actually 12 books on this list. That's because two of the books I'm kind of pairing up together as one, and then I got a little bonus book at the end. Now, I've also done recently a couple videos about books that you could get for under $100 that are from the Silver Age, and I've also done another one of books from the Bronze Age. So don't forget to go check those videos out when you guys are done watching this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. But without further ado, let's get into these books, shall we? First up on the list, we got Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 8. This is the death of the Barry Allen Flash. Now, this book is said, at least in the DC world, to be basically the beginning of the Copper Age. It's what kind of put everything that came before it to rest, and we moved into this new age of superheroes, and that was the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, Copper Age is arguably started in 1984. Most people see it as going up until 1991. Now, this is arguable, but for the sake of this list, these are books from 1984 to 1991. So this book right here, it's just this whole series obviously has been getting hot. We saw the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline and the Arrowverse. And this is a book right here that is just, in my humble opinion, is one that is going to be timeless, that's going to continue to increase in value over time. But also, this storyline in general has the ability, I think, to be done extremely well in the DCEU, or in live action in the cinema next to on your TV and in the Arrowverse TV shows. Now, this is something that the DCEU can dive into when exploring the multiverse and stuff. So there's a lot of speculation that could happen around the storyline in general. Over the next few years, we'll see. But regardless, it's a great book. Estimated 9.8, guys, is right at $100, and that's slab. That's CGC. Estimated high grade raw, $57. Now, the way I found these prices, for one, the slab CGC estimated prices are basically your fair market values on the market from what's on the census right now, and your estimated raw grades are basically a mix between what's been collected on coverprice.com as well as sold eBay listings. So, if you're looking for this book raw and high grade, it's easily affordable, well under $100 still. So, all right, moving on to number 2 on the list. Another really important, event, but this time in the Marvel universe. And again, right around the same time when you're putting the Bronze Age behind and getting into this new Copper Age, and that is Secret Wars number 1. This book is the first appearance of the Beyonder, and right now there's a lot of heat getting under this book. It's catching a lot of steam because there has been a lot of rumor circling around about Secret Wars being that next big MCU event. Now, I can absolutely see it happening. But for those that don't know or that may know, there was the Secret Wars event that happened in 2015. I think if we do see a Secret Wars event in the MCU, it's going to look a little more like the 2015, but we can easily take the Beyonder as the antagonist, who wasn't the antagonist in the 2015 comic books, but I definitely see the Beyonder as being a really, really solid antagonist to be brought into the MCU Secret Wars. So again, that's why this book is really catching steam right now. So right now, though, estimated 9.6, and you guys will see the CGC slab grade grade numbers that I have be different. The last one was a 9.8. This is a 9.6. That's because if you see that, anything above what I'm putting here is going to most likely be over $100, but you could still get an average fair market value for 9.6 at around $95 for this book. an estimated high grade raw at $51. So again, you could still get your hands on a nice high grade copy of Secret Wars #1 for probably well under $100. But this book is getting hot fast, so don't sleep on it if you are one that's into speculating. And before I go even further into this list, as I always like to let everyone know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Don't take what I say at face value and go out and buy these books thinking that you're going to get a high return on investment and make thousands of dollars. This is what we do. It's what we do for fun. Keep in mind, though, I do take a lot of analytics and data into consideration. I don't just pull this stuff out of my behind. So, but again, if you like the characters, if you enjoy the hunt of speculating, then we shall continue. All right, guys. Book #3. I am a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, and this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, but it's the 5th print. Now, the first, even the second, even the third, those are, you're not even going to find those in low grade for most likely under $1,000. Maybe the third print, for some hundreds, but this book right here it's its own cover. All the other the 1 through 3 are different. The fourth one has its own cover as well. But this 5th print right here is, I believe, a little more valuable from when I was crunching the numbers. And I personally just love this cover. I love the red border. And you guys can still find this book for under $100. Now I have the estimated 9.0 at 110, so a little over that $100 mark. But an estimated mid-grade raw is at about $55. Now, the reason why I did a mid-grade raw was because there's not many of these books on the census, and there's not many of these books available for sale. So it's going to be rare for you to find a high-grade copy of this book, especially raw. There was a couple out there, I believe, that probably sold maybe right around the $100 mark, or a little over the $100 mark. But you could definitely get your hands on a good, decent, high mid-grade raw for somewhere around $55. So again, if you're looking for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle #1, this is a really, really affordable one to get, because those other prints are out of reach for an absolute lot of us, that's for sure. All right, moving on, guys. Next up, Uncanny X-Men 221. This book is getting some heat under it, and I think this has been an underrated book, an underrated first appearance for a very long time. And this is the first appearance of Mr. Sinister. This character, man, let me tell you, the fact that we've had X-Men movies now for 20 years, and we've never seen Mr. Sinister in an X-Men film, boy, I think Mr. Sinister is going to do an amazing job in the MCU. I really hope Kevin Feige and team bring Mr. Sinister in at some point, not too far down the road. I love this character. Estimated 9.4 is right at about the $100 mark slab. Estimated high grade raws at about that $70 mark. So again, this is a book that's been heating up. Just a year ago, I think you probably could have found a high grade raw for this book maybe around $40. So it's definitely been catching some steam. Again, a great character overall. But if there's any MCU speculation about this character, watch this book soar. All right, moving on. Next up, we have another DC Batman 366. This is the first appearance of Jason Todd as the new Robin. First time he dons the Robin suit. This book right here, I mean, look, so many storylines surround Jason Todd that are just, classic stories at this point, because you look at this one, and the next one to get is what is it, Batman 427, I believe, is the death of Robin, the death of Jason Todd, with the death of the family. Now, and then obviously we know he ends up becoming the Red Hood. The really interesting thing about this book right now, and again, I say this, all these books that I pick are just, they're great books in general, and they have great stories or great characters or great art, whatever it may be. But outside of that, when we talk about speculatory hype, okay, we have a new Batman franchises in the works right now that I think is going to match Christopher Nolan's trilogy. I'm really hopeful for what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman. And, I think for Warner Brothers to bring Jason Todd in and do the Death of the Family storyline, I think would work extremely well. Let's see how Matt Reeves the Batman does, and let's see if this might show up in the near future. So, regardless, like I said, I mean, great cover, Joker cover, uh, leading up to a great storyline, regardless of movie hype. Estimated 9.4, $90, and an estimated high grade raw, $60. So again, another book that even in a high grade, you most likely can still get your hands on it for well under $100. All right, next up we have one of my favorites on the list, Amazing Spider-Man 252, the first appearance of the black suit. Now, this book is going to tie in to the next book that I'm going to show. This is the first time that we see the black suit on Spidey in comics. Look, I've said this in some videos in the past. This black suit, I mean, look, for my childhood, it was huge. The black suit, Venom, everything surrounding the symbiote. Now, what's going to happen if we see Tom Holland wearing the black suit? I mean, I just think it's going to go bananas. It really is. Because we know now that Sony is working with Marvel Studios. We're going to see Tom Holland with Tom Hardy together in a film on screen with Venom, Spider-Man. Oh my goodness. Tom Holland donning the black symbiote suit. I think this book is going to shoot through the roof. Right now, estimated 8.5 at a 95. Once you get into those higher nines, it's definitely going to be over $100 slab, well over $100 slab. Once you start getting up there, you can get an estimated high, mid to very fine grade for maybe around $80. So, still decent, but I'm telling you guys, if you guys are Spidey fans, Black Suit fans, and Spec fans, and you haven't gotten your hands on this book, I don't see this going down ever. I think this is a book that, regardless of movie hype, regardless of Tom Holland whoever wears the suit, this book is just going to keep going up. But I think there's going to be some awesome stuff happening in terms of cinematic universes. That's for sure. Now, remember these numbers on screen here: 8.5 and a $95. High, mid, very fine, around 80. So the next one on the list that I kind of pair with this is Secret Wars number 8, the origin of the black suit. So this is the first time that Peter Parker comes into contact with the black suit, but it comes out months later from ASM 252, and it's technically the origin of the black suit. Look at these grades, though. Or excuse me, look at the grades and the dollar amounts. Estimated 8.5, $95. Estimated high, mid, very fine grade raw, $80. This book is about neck and neck with your Amazing Spider-Man 252 in terms of fair market value right now and what this book is going for. Now, here's why I put both of these on the list. I mean, if you were a buyer right now looking at these two books, you might think, well, which one should I go with? For me, my initial reaction would be Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, the first time that we see it, it's truly the first appearance. Iconic Amazing Fantasy 15 cover swipe. But then you got this book too, where you have Secret Wars hype. But here's the thing. The Secret Wars hype, if that's announced, before we get any like Tom Holland black suit hype, right? That's going to drive, I think, it's going to drive this whole Secret Wars run up. But people will be looking at this book too, because I think a lot of people will be thinking, well, Spidey, Secret Wars, black suit. But ultimately, if Secret Wars happens in the MCU, I don't know if it'll tie in the black suit, since we already know that the symbiote is on Earth with Venom and whatnot. But hey, you never know. I mean, maybe Spider-Man could go into space in a Secret Wars and come into contact with the same symbiote that came down and made Venom. So you never know how it's going to go. I think ultimately there might be some short-term hype that could affect the grade or the value of this book a little more than Amazing Spider-Man 252, but I think overall, Amazing Spider-Man 252 is still that book. But again, both of these books, long-term investment, they're not slowing down. They're not going to go down from where they're at right now, in my humble opinion. All right, let's move on, though. Next up, we got another Batman. It's Batman 423. This is the first Todd McFarlane Batman series cover art. Now, it's not his first time drawing Batman. That was on Detective Comics 576, I believe. So he was drawing Batman before in Detective Comics, came over, did this cover, just iconic cover, super iconic. There's three prints of this. Now, you can still get the first print in around an 8.0 for about that $100 mark. Estimated high grade raw around 85, but it's going to be close, guys, because this book just continues to get hot. Todd has had a lot of hype around him with, Spawn hitting milestones with 300 to 301 issues. We have the Todd McFarlane sci-fi doc that came out, The Hell I Won't. But man, if you guys haven't seen that, go check that out. Todd was one of my favorite artists growing up. He inspired me as an artist. And boy, do I just continue to earn more and more respect for this guy. And I really believe that he is the modern day Jack Kirby. It's like you love him or hate him, but regardless, like you cannot deny the impact that he had on the industry. And this is just a book right here that I think will always be iconic because of the artist. And that's why this book is on this list. I think this is another one. There's no hype around this. It's Todd. It's the Todd father. He's the hype, right? And it's just going to be one of those iconic books that is just going to keep being iconic and stand the test of time for sure. So that's why I got it on this list. Moving on, some more Marvel goodness. X Factor number 6. Guys, I've probably talked about this before. Another underrated first appearance. I love Apocalypse. Now, here's the thing about this book. This is his first full appearance, Apocalypse. X Factor 5 is his first cameo. Now, the thing is, though, to me, his presence in the stories are almost both cameos. He's only in this book, I think, for what, the first 3 pages? And he's in the X Factor 5 for a couple pages. So he's not really in any of these stories like for the full story. But I think what's obvious about this book is he's on the cover. He's on the cover. You open the book up and he's on the first page. Boom, right there. There's Apocalypse. So this is the money book, although it's still extremely affordable. And let me say something. I think this book is nice to get right now because I think we were extremely underwhelmed with Age of Apocalypse in the, what was it, 2014 film. I think that's 2014, 2015 when that film was released. I just think they did the character complete injustice. Not no shame on Oscar Isaac. I think he did his best with what he had, but just the look and the feel of the character. I think the best thing in that movie was Psylocke, and she was hardly in it. I expected so much more of that movie. Right now, nobody's really looking at this book. Now, this is a situation where, again, another villain that could be done right in the MCU. And I think when and if that happens, this is another book that's just going to shoot up. You got this book sitting at around $100 at a slab 9.6 right now. Estimated high grade raws at about a 61. So, again, another book that you could still find for well under $100 uh, in that high grade raw uh, range. So, absolutely, I almost sent this book into CGC this year. I wish I did. I still held on to it, but I can always do it next year. Moving on. Some more DC. We got Suicide Squad number 23. This is the first appearance of Barbara Gordon as Oracle. Now, first off, I think Suicide Squad in general is going to finally be done right. I believe I've stated it before on my channel, probably more than once. I think I've seen Suicide Squad, the first film, 4 times now, and it just got worse to me every single time. So I think what James Gunn has for us, so what we're sitting here anticipating, is going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a great, entertaining film. Fingers crossed. And I think it's really going to drive people to be excited about Suicide Squad again. So, you could look at Suicide Squad number 1. But I think this whole run, people are going to want to buy it. But this is a good book outside of that, because you have the first appearance of Barbara Gordon as Oracle. And here's the thing for me that I think this new era of Suicide Squad within the DCU might be able to bring in. We haven't seen Barbara Gordon on screen. And I just think it's long overdue. I think we need a Barbara Gordon in the DCEU. And I think bringing her into the DCEU in this capacity would work extremely well. But again, I'm kind of ahead of myself because I haven't seen the Suicide Squad film. Guys, I'm just sitting here being extremely optimistic. But I think this is something that could be done really, really well in the cinematic universe for DC moving forward. Estimated 9.6 is around $90. But get this, guys. Estimated high grade raw, an average of around $21. This is still a book you can easily find for an extremely affordable price. And again, if you got $20 to $30 in your pocket and you find a high grade of this, it's like, why not? Again, as long as you are into Suicide Squad, if you like Oracle or Barbara Gordon as a character, um, if you just like speculating, whatever it may be, this is probably, I think, the most affordable book on this list. So, moving on. Next up, we got more Black Suit symbiote goodness, and that's Amazing Spider-Man 299. Now, of course, we can't put Amazing Spider-Man 300 on this list because it's just way over that $100 price mark. But why not? Look, if you can't get that one, what's the next best thing? Amazing Spider-Man number 299, the first cameo appearance of Venom. Amazing full-page backsplash at the end, where we see Venom for the first time. This book is another one that has been getting hotter, because I think mainly of one, the argument of cameo versus full. And we just have a lot of collectors out there that are saying, you know what? The cameos are the real first appearances. You see them, they're there. That's the first appearance. I don't care what anyone else says. And that's fine. That's fine. And they want to go buy it. And guess what? So many first appearances are getting out of reach that, hey, many collectors that don't have those books, they want to go for the next best thing, right? 299 is that. So, again, another book that I think is going to continue to increase in value over time. But look, if Venom continues to be successful, if Venom continues to be successful in the comic books and on screen, this book is not slowing down for sure. So, estimated 9.0 is around a $95 estimated high grade raw, around $90. Now, of course, when you look at high grade raw, only being 5 difference than a 9.0, that's because you start getting in the 9.2s, 4, 6 of the graded books of this, it's going to go way above that $100 mark. So that's how you put that in perspective. Um, but yeah, so moving on, guys, we have the last book on the list, and that's Wolverine #1, Volume 2. This is Wolverine's first solo ongoing series and first Wolverine as Patch. Now, I had Wolverine #1 of Volume 1, the limited series, on my top 10 Bronze Age books to pick up for $100. I had to throw this in here too, because once again, you talk about the Grail collection of Wolverine books when you start with Hulk 181, and you can even put Hulk 180 in there as his first cameo. Then you put Giant Size X-Men, right? And then you put Wolverine limited series #1. You could throw this one in there too, because this book has been gaining steam, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. When Wolverine shows up in the MCU, all of these key issues for Wolverine, I just think, are going to spike at a rate that is very unique to Wolverine, the character himself, because he's so beloved. He has such a large and die-hard following that it's rare that you're probably going to see such a lineup of books really get that fire under them. And I think it's going to happen with this book too, as well as all those others that I mentioned. So, Estimated 9.2 is sitting at right around $100 for the slab books. Anything above that obviously is hitting high above $100 at this point. Estimated high grade raw though, sitting around an average of $80. So again, you can still get it under that $100 mark, and a high grade. And then if you press and clean, you can probably send that book into CGC or CVCS or PGX or EGS and have the book come back extremely beneficial to you when you think about return on investment. So there it is, guys. Let me know what you think of the list. Love this Copper Age era. This is what I grew up in, so I'm glad I was able to bring some books together for all you guys. Let me know if you guys have any on the list. Let me know if any of these books are on your to get want list, like 2020, 2021 want list, whatever it may be. And let me know what you thought of the picks, or if you thought that there were some other books that you would have put on here instead. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And until next time.